Heartwarming journey. Single mom's incredible kindness reveals life-changing love from drunk CEO. Every morning, Sarah woke up with the sunrise, her heart pounding with determination. As a 34-year-old single mother of two, the weight of the world rested on her shoulders in the form of unpaid bills and a grumbling stomach from not enough food. She would shuffle into the kitchen, her hair still a mess, and start whipping up pancakes and eggs for her kids. "Eat up. We have a big day ahead," she'd say, her voice bright despite the tiredness etched on her face. They would giggle and bicker as they devoured every bite, and she'd steal moments of serenity watching them, feeling alive for a heartbeat before reality knocked again. To the local diner where she worked, the clatter of plates and laughter filled the air, creating a sense of community that kept Sarah going. Her co-workers were more than just colleagues. They were her family. Every long shift, every tired smile was an act of love fueled by her profound dedication to her children. But deep down, she longed for some sign that it would all pay off. One bustling Friday night, the door swung open with a loud bang, and a chaotic figure stumbled in. Mike, a 42-year-old CEO, draped in a designer suit, had clearly celebrated one too many. Patrons glanced at him with judgment, disgust evident on their faces. But Sarah, always attuned to the deeper stories beneath surfaces, saw a flicker of sadness behind his boisterous laughter. She approached, coffee pot in hand, offering him a warm smile. "Need some coffee to sober up?" she said lightly, surprising herself as their whirlwind interactions became more frequent. Sarah found herself intrigued by Mike's vulnerability. Beneath the rich facade was a man fighting loneliness and the oppressive expectations of his wealth. She could sense his struggles and saw reflections of her own life climbing uphill with her family, always striving to be better. But there was warmth in their shared moments, the way he listened to her stories about her kids and how he smiled when she shared dreams of their futures. Days turned into weeks, and beneath the diner's fluorescent lights, a surprising friendship flourished. Mike began to offer Sarah small gestures of kindness, gifts for her children, helping out when she was overwhelmed. Yet, social barriers loomed like thunderclouds, casting a shadow over their budding bond. The whispers and stares of other patrons reminded her of their world, wealthy and struggling together. Then came the storm. Sarah's son collapsed at school just as Mike's corporation was threatened with scandal. A phone call shattered the fragile peace of their lives. The weight of their crises bore down on them like a dark wave. This was a pivotal moment where they had to confront the truth: could kindness triumph over class divides? The heart raced, and hope flickered in the chaos of hardship. Before we continue, I need to let you know about something important that's happening. YouTube has been making changes to the system, and many people are losing notifications from channels they follow. If you're enjoying the content, hit that bell and mark all notifications so you don't miss the next videos. And if you can drop a like, it really helps me with reach. Seriously, it makes a difference. Oh, let me know in the comments where you're watching from. I'm always curious to know who's on the other side of the screen. Now let's continue. Sarah's face tightened with worry, tears brimming in her eyes. Meanwhile, Mike's heart raced. Could he step up when the chips were down? As the night grew heavy with uncertainty, shared glances between them spoke volumes. They both stood at the crossroads, facing the abyss, each plagued by their pasts and the fear of vulnerability. The world around them faded as they clung to the promise of hope, one small act of kindness away from a profound transformation. What would happen next? Would they break free from society's chains, or would they lose themselves in their own struggles, stuck forever in their respective prisons? As their stories intertwined, the question of true connection hung in the air, poised to redefine their lives. The phone call alone nearly knocked the wind out of Sarah. The voice on the other end was hurried and filled with urgency, a jarring contrast to the gentle rhythm of her day. "Ma'am, we need you at the school. Your son has collapsed." Every detail after that seemed to fade, leaving only the echo of those words reverberating in her mind. Panic surged through her as she dropped the phone, her heart pounding fiercely in her chest. Without a second thought, she dashed to her kid's room, throwing on her shoes and scanning for her jacket. The world outside blurred as she sprinted down the street, her thoughts racing even faster than her feet. She knew she had to hold herself together for her son, but the deep fear threatening to engulf her was overwhelming. In that moment, the weight of a single mother's duty felt crushing. When she finally reached the school, the chaos felt like a mounting storm. Teachers and nurses rushed around, their faces a mask of concern. Sarah spotted them, an unfamiliar doctor in scrubs, the school nurse, and her son, lying pale and still on a gurney. Her heart sank. A pitiful sob escaped her lips. She rushed to his side, cradling his small hand in hers, as she brushed the hair away from his forehead. He looked so fragile, so helpless. "Mommy's here," she whispered, forcing a smile as she squeezed his hand. His fingers twitched in response, a flicker of life amidst the uncertainty. Sarah's heart clung to that tiny glimmer, praying with every ounce of her being that he would wake up. The doctor spoke quickly, explaining that it might just be a fainting spell. But Sarah couldn't shake the feeling of fear that clung to her like a shadow as the medical team took charge. She felt a presence at her side, the familiar weight of Micah's hand on her shoulder, grounding her amidst the swirling chaos. His warm, steady voice broke through her haze. "I called them as soon as I heard." The sincerity in his eyes reassured her, even though both their worlds felt like they were crashing around them. "It's all my fault. I should have kept a better eye on him," she choked out, tears spilling down her cheeks as panic tightened around her throat. How could she face this? Just another failure to add to her long list. "Sarah," Mike said softly, "listen to me. You did nothing wrong. You've been doing everything you can for them. You're an amazing mother." With those words, he wrapped an arm around her, and she leaned into him for support. In that moment, barriers started to crack, two worlds colliding in the tenderness of shared fear and hope. Just then, her son stirred on the gurney, opening his eyes slowly. Relief washed over her face like a balm, and the incessant worry began to ebb. "Mom?" he murmured weakly. "Yes, baby. I'm right here," she whispered, her heart swelling with a mixture of love and anguish. Mike stayed silent, but she could feel his strength beside her, a reminder that they were not alone, even in this moment of deepest despair as her son was wheeled away for further observation. Sarah's thoughts flickered back to the judgmental stares she felt at the diner. Would those gazes still hold the same weight now? Would they ever truly understand what it meant to fight against the odds? With newfound determination igniting within her, she turned to Mike. He looked at her, a mix of understanding and something deeper swirling in his gaze. "Whatever happens, we'll face it together." But as they stood hand in hand amid uncertainty, Sarah could already feel the weight of the world shifting. She was no longer a single mother alone, there was power in their connection. Yet beyond this triumphant moment, more struggles loomed ahead. Could they truly build something resilient and lasting, or would outside forces tear them apart? As the clock ticked on, the future loomed over them like a storm cloud prepared to unleash chaos. What would they decide when it mattered most? As they waited, the sterile scent of antiseptic filled the air. The waiting area was a frenzied blend of worried parents and busy medical staff, people coming in and out with urgent expressions. Sarah tried to stay composed, her muscles tense but her heart desperately clinging to hope. "What did they say?" Mike's voice broke through the haze. He was leaning closer, his eyes searching hers for answers, even as uncertainty loomed impenetrably above them. "They're just running tests," she replied, the words escaping her lips like a prayer more than a reassurance. "They think it was just a fainting spell." She trailed off, her gaze drifting to the stark white walls that felt almost suffocating. Mike took a deep breath, squeezing her hand tighter. It filled her with warmth, a grounding force. "He'll be okay. Kids bounce back, right? Look at all you've done for him. You're a survivor." A soft smile flickered on her face, a reminder of who she was amidst the desperate situation. "I just worry." The confession left her lips as she wiped a few stray tears away. "I know." He ran his hand through his hair, a shadow of determination crossing his features. "But you're not alone anymore. I mean it. We'll fight this together." The nurse emerged after what felt like an eternity. She had kind eyes that shimmered with sympathy. "Ms. Matthews, you can come in now." Your son is waking up." Joy erupted within Sarah as she rose, almost stumbling in her hurry to follow. Relief flooded over her. It was a surge of light piercing through her fears. She dashed into the room and found her son laid back against the pillow, his small face pale but illuminated with the faintest smile. "Hey, buddy," she whispered, rushing to his side. "Did I worry you?" His voice was hoarse but playful, a pang of normalcy that sent a wave of emotions crashing over her. "Just a little," she chuckled through her tears, wiping them away. "But I'm glad you're okay. I feel funny, like when I stand too long at the dance party." He crinkled his nose, the familiar spark of mischief returning to his eyes. "That's your body telling you to take it easy," Sarah teased gently. "Let us not go running races anytime soon, all right?" As they shared this small moment of laughter, Mike stepped in, leaning against the doorframe. His presence offered an added sense of security, but it was also clear that an understanding was forming between all of them, an invisible bond tethering their hearts together. "Hi, champ. You've got a good nurse," he said, nodding toward the medical staff who were still bustling around the room, checking monitors and scribbling notes. "Thanks," their son replied, his gaze darting between the two adults, a glimmer of comprehension flickering in his young eyes. Sarah watched the exchange, a warm feeling swelling within her. Suddenly, she felt her worries weaken. The fear and burden of being alone began to dissolve. Perhaps this partnership had the potential to become something beautiful. But as joy filled the space, a shadow loomed at the back of her thoughts. What other challenges awaited them? Could their newfound closeness withstand the trials ahead, or would outside pressures threaten to pull them apart? Just as those thoughts crossed her mind, the sudden buzz of her phone vibrated loudly against the counter. She turned to see a message flash across the screen. "Need to talk. We need to meet." A tight knot of dread clenched in her stomach. Who could it be? And what could they want? As tension gripped her heart, Sarah could already sense another challenge on the horizon, one that could change everything for them all. Was she ready to face whatever came next? The room felt cozy, yet the looming anxiety held tightly around Sarah's chest. She tore her gaze from her phone, refocusing on her son, who was now laughing with Mike. Their chatter enveloped her like a warm embrace, but the message weighed on her mind, tugged at something deeper. "Mom, are we going home soon?" her son asked, his voice bright yet edged with a hint of worry. "After the doctor checks on you," she replied, brushing a lock of hair from his forehead. "You're the star of this show right now." Mike smiled, clearly trying to elevate the mood. "I bet you're going to ace whatever test they throw your way. Right, champ?" "Yep," their son exclaimed, a grin breaking across his pale face. The power of that simple joy flickered life into the sterile atmosphere. But Sarah couldn't shake the shadow on her thoughts, looming from that text. The nurse returned, this time accompanied by a doctor. The older man wore a friendly expression that reassured Sarah, but also sparked the tight knot of worry. "Good morning, young man," he said, addressing her son with a warmth that radiated comfort. "I hear you've been entertaining everyone." "Just a little bit," he chirped, glancing up at Sarah, whose heart swelled with pride at his resilience. After a brief examination, the doctor turned to Sarah. "Everything checks out. It seemed to be a benign episode. We'll want to monitor him for a few hours, but I believe he'll be going home soon." Sarah could hardly breathe through the relief. She felt her son's small hand squeeze hers tightly, as if he sensed her rising tide of emotions. "See, Mom? I told you," he said, his confidence beaming. "Absolutely, buddy." She fought back the tears of happiness, not wanting to spoil his triumphant mood. As the doctor wrapped up his notes, Sarah's phone buzzed again. This time, a picture accompanying another message filled her screen. It was Mike from a work event, laughing with a group of colleagues, the kind of image meant for social media. An invitation to their lives. The reality of her single parenthood collided with the prospect of a burgeoning relationship. Just as the nurse returned to inform them they would be moving to a recovery room, Sarah felt like her world spun a little faster. She tucked the phone away, focusing on her son. The joy of his returning health should take center stage. For now. Once in the recovery room, the energy shifted. Bright colors filled the walls as her son settled into the bed, looking a little more like his playful self. Mike had taken the initiative to keep things light, recounting funny stories from his childhood that made her son laugh. For a moment, Sarah let herself be carried away by the laughter. Perhaps the boundaries of their lives could stretch and mold. Perhaps she didn't have to face everything alone. But as those thoughts crept in, an anxious tug in her stomach reminded her that she still needed to confront the unknown. What did the message mean? Who needed to talk and why now? With each passing moment, the room filled with laughter, yet questions cluttered her mind. Ready for ice cream later? Mike asked, redirecting the conversation, and her son's face immediately lit up. Yes, he shouted, bouncing on the bed. Sarah marveled at his spirit, a beacon of hope amidst her uncertainty. She wanted to embrace this moment, but looming issues weighed heavily across the horizon. What if everything changed once she confronted this new challenge? With her heart racing, she clenched her fists, readying herself for whatever could come next. She faced them with a courage that felt unfamiliar, a necessity for the sake of her son, her newfound relationship, and ultimately herself. But just as she drew a breath to share her worries with Mike, the phone buzzed again, this time more insistently. She hesitated, the dread returning, reminding her of the storm just beyond their moment of peace. "Mom, what is wrong?" her son asked, confusion hardening his innocent brow. Nothing, just a message." Sarah forced a smile, but as she glanced at that flashing notification, her heart sank. What more awaited them? Would she need to dig deeper into her strength to face the truth that could revolutionize her life? One thing was clear. The wind of change had picked up speed, and Sarah was left wondering what would happen when it finally knocked on her door. The silence that followed felt like a heavy blanket, wrapping around Sarah and her son as unanswered questions hung in the air. She bit her lip, the tension in her chest tightening. Her son's innocent face, filled with confusion, tugged at her heart. "Just a silly work message," she said, trying to keep her voice light. But how could a couple of words on a screen feel so much heavier? She wanted to prioritize her son's joy, but fear dripped like poison into her thoughts. What if Mike had no idea what she was going through? Could he accept her if he understood the full weight of her responsibilities? "Can I see?" her son asked, stretching his tiny hand toward her phone. "Maybe later, sweetheart," she replied gently, sliding it into her pocket. She didn't want to pull Mike into the chaos swirling in her mind just yet. Not now, when her son needed her to be strong. Mike caught on to her distress and leaned closer, lowering his voice. "Hey, everything okay?" His sincere gaze met hers, softening the wrestling knots in her stomach. In this moment, she could either open up or retreat. It would be easy to sidestep the truth. But she remembered her son's wide smile lit up by laughter earlier and knew this wasn't just about her any longer. It was about crafting a true family dynamic not just for her son, but for her as well. I received a message that's been bothering me. I may have to deal with something soon," she confessed, her voice barely above a whisper. It felt like admitting a dirty secret, but she needed to share the weight. "What kind of something?" Mike probed gently, tipping his head slightly, his expression shifting between concern and encouragement. "I don't know yet. It's hard to explain, but it's connected to my past. And if I don't face it, I worry it'll affect us as a family." His brow furrowed, and in that moment, Sarah realized how fragile their connection felt. One part of her screamed to make it all clear, yet another feared how much she would have to reveal. "Look," he said, taking her hand, whatever it is, we'll handle it together. I'm here for you, Sarah. We're in this, right?" The warmth of his grip sent a wave of comfort through her, yet unease still fluttered in her stomach like a trapped bird. What if it wasn't just a small bump in their road ahead but a massive crater? Was she really prepared to let someone else in to share all her fears? Just then, her son's laughter broke through the tension once more, interrupting their heavy conversation. "Mom, can we get ice cream now?" His face radiated joy, completely clueless to the weighty exchanges between the adults. "Absolutely. Ice cream is on me," Mike chimed in, his smile buoying Sarah's heart. "Yay, Her son bounced in excitement. The subject perfectly shifted as they entered the bright recovery room. The cheerful nurse appeared with a cup of colorful sprinkles. "Who's ready for some magic in a cup?" she called. The room filled with warmth, the anxiety of moments before starting to fade away. Yet just as laughter erupted again, Sarah's phone buzzed. The tension resurfaced as she felt its pull. She knew it was from the sender. Was it an urgent matter? Or was it something she could keep at bay just a little while longer? "Mom!" her son pleaded, his eyes wide and sparkly. Looking up from her phone, she was struck by the joy radiating from both her son and Mike. She wished nothing more than to stay in this bubble of happiness forever. But the world outside still loomed large, waiting for her decisions. "Let us go enjoy that ice cream, buddy. I promise, everything will be okay," she said, though the hint of uncertainty still lingered in her voice. She wasn't sure if she was trying to convince him or herself. As they walked towards the door, a flutter in her stomach reminded her of the storm still brewing on the horizon. Would she find the courage to face what lay beyond the laughter? Or would the unknown pull her back into shadows she tried so hard to escape? The door swung open, and Sarah caught a glimpse of the world outside, uncertainty swirling on the cusp of a new chapter in her life. What awaited her beyond the safety of this moment? The ice cream shop was buzzing with energy. Bright colors and joyful screams filled the air, each sound a reminder of normalcy that Sarah craved but felt so far from. She could hear her son chattering about the flavors, his tiny hands flailing as he described his love for mint chocolate chip. Mike laughed along with him, playing the perfect foil to her anxiety as they approached the counter. Sarah couldn't shake the buzzing in her pocket. The weight of the message felt more like a chain than a mere text. She was torn between joining in on the fun and the insistent urgency of that unseen world. "Mom, I want sprinkles," her son shouted, his excitement bubbling over like the melting ice cream in their cups. There was so much pure joy radiating from him, and for a moment, she could forget about the chaos that loomed just outside the frozen treat haven. "Sprinkles it is," Mike declared, and they made a chaotic trio, fumbling with cups and napkins, laughter mixing with the clinking of spoons against the ceramic. But Sarah was only half present. Her thoughts were swirling back to the message that threatened to spill over into their happiness. What if it was news she couldn't handle? A dark shadow lurking on the sunny horizon of their lives. Looking at her son, the worry on his face broke her heart. "Is everything okay, Mom?" he asked, the sweetness of his ice cream momentarily forgotten. "Yeah, buddy. Just a little tired, that's all," she replied, attempting a smile that felt too heavy for her face. She brushed his hair back from his forehead, wishing she could dispel both his worries and her own with that gentle touch. Mike's hand rested on her shoulder, steady and reassuring. "Are you sure? You know you can talk to me, right?" She turned to him, searching for the courage within her. They were supposed to be having a lovely day, ice cream and all, but here she was, burdened with things he didn't know, and could never truly understand. "Let us sit down," he suggested, guiding her to a cozy corner booth. The soft hum of conversation around them faded to a distant background as they settled in. "Look, I want this to be fun for all of us," Mike said, his mixed expressions of understanding and concern washing over her. "But I also want to help you with whatever is bothering you. You don't have to hold it all in." Just then, her phone buzzed again, an urgent reminder of the conversation she was trying to avoid. Her heart raced, and she felt trapped between the warmth of the moment and the chilling reality of what lay ahead. "I really appreciate that, Mike. It's complicated," she admitted, the words slipping out before she could filter them. "Complicated is my middle name," he joked lightly, trying to ease the tension. But as she looked into his eyes, she could see the genuine concern there, the open invitation to share her burden. Could she trust him? That question loomed over her like a dark cloud. Could he really be the support she needed? "Sometimes, the past just it doesn't let you go," she began hesitantly, her voice trembling slightly. "I didn't think it would come back to haunt me like this." Mike leaned closer, his focus unwavering. "Whatever it is, Sarah, I'm with you. We'll tackle it together, I promise." Just let me in. Sarah felt tears prick at her eyes, the weight of suppressed emotions beginning to unveil themselves in that safe corner of ice cream bliss. She thought about the risk she was taking, choosing to engage with the truth rather than shield herself from it. It was scary, but her son needed her to be brave. And maybe so did she. Just as she gathered the strength to speak, the door swung open, letting in a gust of wind along with a small group of loud teens. Their raucous laughter shattered the bubble for a moment, but something in her trembled with promise. Could sharing her story be the first step towards a new chapter? Or would the truths she feared only push them away? Her son pulled at her sleeve, drawing her back to the moment. "Mom, can we have a race outside later? I want to show you how fast I can run." She laughed, the sound escaping before she could contain it. Of course. But what would a race mean if her heart was still racing with uncertainties? Looking at Mike, she felt hope flicker. Maybe, just maybe, today could mark the beginning of freeing herself from shadows. But she still had to decide, to step into the light or stay hidden in the safety of her doubt. The thought echoed, thick in the air. As they finished their ice cream, what would she choose to face next? Sarah stared at the remnants of her ice cream, a swirl of melted chocolate and mint brittle at the bottom of her cup. It was like her thoughts, a jumble of sweetness drowned in uncertainty. She watched as her son beamed, his baby teeth shining white against chocolate smudges on his cheek. "Can I get a refill?" he chirped, eyes wide with innocent anticipation. "Let us finish what we have first," she replied, forcing a smile. The laughter of the teenagers who had barged in only moments ago filled the shop, drowning out her internal turmoil. It was just noise, but it felt like a revelry she was not part of. "Hey buddy," Mike interrupted her thoughts. "How about we check who can drink their ice cream faster? I bet I can down mine in one go." Her son's face turned from a confusion of ice cream-focused bliss to that of utter delight. "You can't. That's cheating." They fell into a playful banter, Mike teasing and her son giggling. The warmth radiating from them was like a soft blanket, yet the distant rumble of her phone remained an ache that wouldn't fade. "Can we step outside? I want my race." Her son squealed, bouncing on the bench with the kind of energy only children possess, oblivious to the cirrus clouds hovering in his mother's heart. "Sure," she said, standing to carry both their cups to the trash. She glanced at Mike, gauging readiness in his expression. Would he still be there after what she had to share? As they strolled outside, the sun bathed everything in golden light. It was picturesque. Kids laughing in the distance, a dog tugging at its owner's leash. Yet, Sarah felt the weight of her past tighten around her chest. "Ready, set, go," Mike declared dramatically, and the three of them took off, her son leading with his little feet barely touching the ground as he squealed in delight. Sarah limited her strides, slowing to capture their jubilant moment, but her heart raced with thoughts she couldn't shake. She watched them, the two most important people in her world. What lay ahead felt like a precipice, and she was terrified of falling. But as they played, she couldn't ignore the whispers of possibility flowing into her mind. "What's wrong, Mom?" her son asked breathlessly, stopping to catch sight of her distant gaze. "Nothing, sweetheart. Just soaking it all in," she managed, her heart aching with the wish she could protect him from the worries that hovered at the edge of her consciousness. Once they calmed down, she sat on a nearby bench, her mind racing again. Mike joined them, sweat glistening on his forehead, a smile still plastered across his face. "You all right? You look deep in thought," he teased. "Just thinking about how happy he is," she began, a lump forming in her throat, "and how I want to keep it that way." Mike nodded in understanding as silence enveloped them, the kind of silence that spoke louder than words. She knew this was her moment. The window was open, and she could step through. "Mike, there's something I haven't told you," Sarah whispered, her heart slamming against her chest. "Something from my past that came creeping back, and I don't want to lose this, whatever this is between us." He looked at her intently, the laughter fading from his eyes, replaced with a genuine curiosity. "Sarah, whatever it is, we can handle it. Just trust me." Her breath caught in her throat. Could she really? Just as she was about to dive into the depths of her fears, her phone buzzed insistently in her pocket. The moment shattered again, pulling her back to the realities she was trying to escape. "What is it?" Mike asked, eyes narrowing with concern. "It's just I need to answer this," she replied hesitantly, pulling out her phone, her hopes mixing with dread. The call could be the catalyst for everything she feared. As she read the name flashing on the screen, her heart seized. It's my mom. She turned to look at Mike, dread settling her stomach thick as fog, uncertainty hanging heavy. Would this call be the bridge to healing, or would it draw her deeper into a vortex of tangled emotions and past wounds? Should I answer? The crowd around them faded into the background, and in that moment, a choice lay before her. Whatever she decided would shape not just her day, but everything she was trying to build with Mike and her son. In the shimmering unknown of those seconds, everything hung in the balance, and she felt the tremors of an impending storm. Would she face her past, or would she let it storm in and disrupt the fragile peace she was seeking? Answer it, Sarah. You deserve to confront what's holding you back. Mike's voice was steady. It was time to choose. As she raised the phone to her ear, her pulse quickened, filling the air with uneasy anticipation. What awaited on the other line could change everything. Would she have the strength to face it? The breath she took felt heavy as she pressed the button. "Hello?" Sarah's voice wavered slightly as the call connected. The sound of her mother's voice came through, familiar yet distant, like a haunting melody she hadn't heard in years. "Sarah? Is that really you?" Her mother's voice crackled with surprise. There was a pause, a hitch in her breath, followed by the unmistakable weight of emotion. "I didn't expect to hear from you, Mom." It felt surreal. Memories flooded back, some bright, others painful. The past pressed in on her like an echo of an old song, one she thought she had long forgotten. "I saw your name and I wasn't sure I wanted to answer. I understand." Her mother's voice softened, carrying a hint of regret. "I've tried reaching out, but I never thought you'd pick up. I'm so sorry for everything. I just want to talk. Can we start over?" Start over. The words lingered in the air, a fragile promise wrapped in hope. But what did starting over mean? There was so much hurt between them, a chasm of silence filled with unspoken words. Sarah glanced at Mike, his eyes filled with encouragement, but that only increased her sense of urgency. "Mom, I'm not the same girl who left. I have a son now. His name is Noah, and he is everything to me," she said, the connection to her past tangling with the present. Her mother's gasp was tangible through the phone. "A grandson. Oh, Sarah, I had no idea. Why didn't you reach out sooner?" Sarah interrupted, her voice rising. "When Dad left, I was scared. I needed you. I still needed you." Silence stretched, thick and uncomfortable. For a moment, Sarah feared that her mother would hang up, that the call would dissolve into nothingness like so many before. But then her mother spoke softly. "I was hurting too, sweetheart. Felt like everything unraveled. I thought I was protecting you, and locking me out didn't protect me." The words slipped out, raw and unfiltered. "I spent so much time wondering why you didn't want me, why you let everything break." Her mother sighed, and in that sigh was a world of regret. "You were never unwanted, Sarah. I made terrible choices. I was lost. I can't keep carrying the weight of your choices," Sarah said, trembling with emotion. "I have a life now. I have a man who cares about us, a loving family in my son, and I can't let your past mistakes seep into our future." There was another pause, heavier now. "Can you forgive me?" The question hung in the air, both a lifeline and a burden. Could she really? Slowly, she crossed her arms, embracing a warmth she didn't know was there. "Forgiveness isn't easy, Mom, but I think I can try. I'd like that," her mother replied, voice thin like spun sugar, fragile yet hopeful. "So what now?" Sarah asked, her heart racing with the possibilities and fears intertwining. "Can we meet? Really meet? Maybe I can meet Noah?" Caught between the thrill of possibility and the fear of the unknown, her hesitation clawed at her. Yet Mike gently squeezed her hand, a reminder of the present, of stability and love. Okay, let us do that, she finally replied. But I need some time to consider what's next. There are things we need to talk about. Absolutely. I'll be here whenever you're ready. As Sarah ended the call, she felt a wave of emotions crashing over her. She looked at Mike, who wore an expression of quiet support. So? He asked gently. I think I opened a door. But I don't know what's on the other side. Whatever it is, I'll be right here, he smiled. But a hint of concern clouded his features. She sighed deeply, the weight of her decision both liberating and suffocating. She glanced down the street where the sun was beginning to dip below the horizon, casting everything in hues of orange and purple. Life was changing so quickly. Sarah, are you okay? Mike's voice pierced through her thoughts again, laced with concern. I don't know yet, she admitted, her heart racing. But whatever happens next, I need to face it head-on. And there lay the heart of the matter. The choice was hers to make. But as anxiety gnawed at her, she couldn't shake the feeling that the real challenge was yet to come. Let us head home, she finally suggested. I want to talk about this. All of it. He nodded. And as they began to walk, Sarah felt the first stirrings of courage growing inside her. She could face tomorrow, reshaping her past to fit alongside the life she was building. But as their pace quickened, her phone buzzed again, a new alert jolting her. Wait, she said, stopping mid-step. Her heart dropped. Was it another call from her mother? Who is it? Mike asked, concern flooding into his voice once more, locked in an embrace with perplexity. It's my boss. The air shifted around them, laden with tension and the remnants of unresolved emotions. Should I answer? An answer seemed to dangle just out of reach, and she felt the familiar weight of uncertainty return. Could this call unsettle the fragile balance she had just begun to rebuild, or would it propel her further along her path? Questions raced through her mind like wild horses as the screen flashed insistently. Would responding to this call take her one step closer to freedom or plunge her deeper into chaos? The phone buzzed again, the persistent vibration thrumming in her palm. Sarah took a deep breath, feeling the weight of expectation squeezing her chest. Answer it, Mike urged, stepping closer. His brows furrowed with concern but also determination. I don't know if I'm ready, she hesitated, glancing at the screen again, her boss's name glaring back at her like a spotlight. Why don't you just see what he wants? Mike suggested gently. You can always call him back later. Right now, you need to focus on you. She nodded slowly, unsure of what she was about to step into. With a trembling finger, she swiped to answer. Hello? Sarah. Her boss's voice boomed through the speaker, energetic and warm, yet it stung like an unexpected chill. I'm glad I caught you. We need to talk, can you come in? What about? She managed, trying to keep the nerves from creeping into her words. It's about the project you've been working on. I'm really impressed with your progress. There might be a promotion coming your way, but I want to discuss it in person. Her heart skipped, a mix of excitement and dread crashing like waves. A promotion? It sounded like a glittering prize at the end of a long journey. But what would it mean? More responsibility? More exposure? More chances for things to go wrong? Could she handle it all, especially with everything brewing on the home front? Sarah? He prompted softly, pulling her back to the moment. You still there? Yes, I'm here. I can come in. Great. Let us say tomorrow morning, then? She agreed, though a knot twisted in her stomach at the thought of managing both her resurrected relationship with her mother and this new work pressure. Awesome. Looking forward to it, he replied. With that, he disconnected, leaving her standing there with a whirlpool of thoughts. Mike watched her, concern deepening in his eyes. What did he say? A potential promotion. Her voice barely rose above a whisper. Wow, that's great, he said, an encouraging smile breaking across his face. But you look worried. What's going on? I'm just scared I might mess it up. I'm still dealing with the fallout from today. I can't. Before she could finish her thought, Mike wrapped his arms around her, pulling her close. You are stronger than you think, Sarah. You've faced so much already. You can manage both. We're in this together. His warmth enveloped her, a safety net that felt increasingly fragile against the uncertainty of her life. As they stood there, Sarah took a moment to breathe him in. He always had a way of easing her fears, making the world feel less chaotic. Still, a tiny voice nestled in the back of her mind whispered doubts that echoed through her very core. How do you juggle family and work when both are on shaky grounds? Maybe I'm just not cut out for this, she murmured, pulling away to look into his eyes, searching for clarity. Hey, you are exactly what your son needs and what your boss sees in you. Don't minimize your worth. You've got this. His faith in her felt like a lifeline. Yet she couldn't shake the ominous feeling that something was lurking just out of reach. A deep breath steadied her resolve, though a chill snaked its way up her spine. But what about my mom? Am I really ready to meet her? I can be there, Mike suggested, his voice gentle. For that meeting if you want. Torn between the need for support and the desire to stand on her own, Sarah weighed her options. I think I should face this myself, she finally said, surprising even herself with her conviction. I need to be the one to take that step. But I promise if it gets too heavy, I'll call you. He nodded, respect shining in his eyes. I'll be just a phone call away. As they headed home together, Sarah felt the tension ease a fraction. But there remained a lingering edge of uncertainty. Tomorrow held the promise of a renewed work life as well as the daunting task of confronting her mother. But just as she tried to focus on the silver linings, a sudden crash of thunder rolled through the sky, and she stopped, looking up at the darkening clouds. Do you think what if this is all too much too fast? She whispered. Mike turned to her, his face serious. You never know until you try. Just remember you're not alone. Her heart raced with both fear and hope. The storm clouds reflected the turmoil in her mind, swirling with shadows of doubt. As they reached her front door, Sarah felt the urge to bolt. Yet something deeper, a strange mix of anticipation and dread held her there. What if she could transform her life into something beautiful? Was her story about to take a turn she hadn't seen coming? With her hand poised over the doorknob, she took a deep breath. She had made so many choices to reach this point. Could she truly face tomorrow? As if answering her silent question, her phone buzzed again. Sarah, you okay? Mike's voice pulled her from her thoughts. Just a lot on my mind, she lied, pretending cheerfulness. But beneath that pretense lay a storm of emotions ready to break free. In that moment of uncertainty, something shifted inside her. The possibilities before her felt unreal, yet undeniably real at once. Let us see where this leads, she whispered to herself. But she couldn't shake the feeling that whatever awaited her was just the beginning of a far more complex journey. And as she turned the knob, ready to step inside, she knew the questions had only just begun. What awaited her on the other side? Was it a new beginning, or would it pry open old wounds? The next day dawned with an unsettling stillness. Sarah woke before sunrise, her heart fluttering like a restless bird. Today was the day she would confront not just her mother but also the new responsibilities waiting for her at work. She slipped into the comfortable routine of making breakfast, feeling the warmth of the griddle soothing her nerves. The aroma of pancakes filled the air, but it did little to calm the storm within her. Are we getting ice cream again today? Her son, Noah, chirped cheerfully as he bounded into the kitchen, his excitement brightening the dim morning light. Maybe after school, she replied, tucking a curl behind his ear. The earnestness in his eyes gave her the strength to push through the anxiety coiling in her stomach. With breakfast finished and hearts full, she packed Noah's lunch, determination swirling with the trepidation clouding her thoughts. At work, the familiarity of the diner embraced her like a tight hug. Her co-workers greeted her with warm smiles, their banter cutting through her tension. It felt good to be back to what she knew best, serving the community who cared for her. However, the thought of the meeting with her boss loomed over her like a thunderhead, ready to unleash the storm. Hey, you got this. Mike's supportive message pinged on her phone. She looked around, a sense of gratitude swelling in her chest. Here, she had built a life sometimes messy, but always full of love. Yet the weight of her past tugged at her. Could she really find a way to make peace with it all? The minutes ticked by until the phone rang, her boss's name lighting up the screen. She took a deep breath, summoning the resolve she had been practicing. "Here we go," she whispered to herself before answering. "Sarah, excellent to see you," her boss greeted. He dove into praise about her recent performance, and with each positive word, she felt an inch of the weight lift. "We're really pleased, and after some thought, we'd like to promote you. You deserve it." Her heart raced, elation washed over her like a refreshing wave, but her mind immediately turned to the responsibilities that awaited her. "Thank you," she exclaimed, fighting her instinct to shy away from the demand for more. She felt capable and, for the first time in a long while, worthy to as their conversation wound down. She finally found the courage to ask, "Could I have some flexible hours as I transition? I want to give it my best shot, both at work and at home." "Absolutely, let us work it out together," he replied. Relief surged through her. It would be a balancing act, but at least now she had support. With the official meeting for her promotion done, the next task loomed ahead. The past her mother was a specter she could no longer ignore. After work, she reapplied the thought of the ice cream with Noah and Mike as her calming ritual. When she met Mike at the diner as planned, she saw the invitation in his eyes. He seemed ready to go deeper, to know the fabric of her heart. Taking Noah's hand in hers, she felt the comfort of their tight-knit trio as they stepped outside into the sunshine. "I know just the place," Mike announced, steering them toward the local park. The laughter of children reverberated through the air. The picturesque scene offered her a fleeting sense of safety. As they settled onto a park bench, Noah's infectious laughter sparked joy, and for a fleeting moment, she cherished their idyllic family. Yet, as the laughter subsided, she turned to Mike, the weight re-entering her chest. "Mike, there's something I need to share," she began, her voice tentative. "Today I spoke to my mom. I guess she's trying to reconnect after all this time." In that moment, a flicker of trepidation danced in Mike's eyes, but he remained calm, giving no judgment. "That's brave of you," he urged gently. "How do you feel about that?" "I'm scared," she admitted. "What if I open the door to pain I thought I'd closed? What if I can't forgive her for not being there?" He squeezed her hand reassuringly. "You're stronger than you think, Sarah. Facing it alone wouldn't feel right. I'm here to support you, whatever that looks like." Their eyes met, the understanding between them deepening like a well-rooted tree, and for the first time, she felt buoyed by his belief in her ability to confront her past. "I need to remember that I'm not just part of my past," she continued. "I'm building a future right here with you and Noah." As she glanced at Noah, she felt a surge of determination. "I'm going to give her a chance. We owe it to ourselves." The words felt like a commitment, one rooted in love and resilience that she wanted her family to model. The park became a backdrop to her newfound resolve, laughter echoing through the air, a melody that drummed against her worries. Would she be able to heal, to weave the past into the fabric of her present? Their family dynamic felt more solid with each brave step she took, each hard truth shared. She knew the path ahead wouldn't be easy, but standing beside Mike and Noah filled her with light, guiding her nonetheless. As the sun began to dip toward the horizon, casting a golden glow over everything, Sarah felt like she was standing at the brink of something powerful. A wave of gratitude washed over her, grateful for her son's innocence, for Mike's unwavering support, and for the strength growing within her. And as she looked to the future, she felt the undeniable spark to not only forge ahead but to inspire those around her. Transformation was within reach. All she had to do was move forward. You need to subscribe now. This is the moment to show your support, to make sure you stay tuned for more incredible stories like this. Leave a like now to feed the algorithm and help us grow. Comment below with your feelings and reactions about this ending. And don't wait not even one more second to share this video with at least 5 friends who need to see this kind of transformation. Together, let's spread the light of hope.